Bob Lee. He's a good friend of mine. He was a mentor for many years. I've known him since 2016, and I know him through the Lions Club, or Lions Club International, which some people might know, some people might not realize who we are. But if you've ever been out in the community and you've seen people in like yellow vests with like a blue logo on it, that's the Lions Club. Not Walmart workers, because it kind of looks the same, yeah. So I'd like to let Bob introduce himself and give a little bit about his background, and then we'll kind of cruise from there.
Okay, well, James, great to be here with you today. I'm basically a semi-retired civil engineer and land surveyor. But, in terms of my background with the Lions, like many old-time Lions, my association with the organization actually started with going to a luncheon meeting with my neighbor. And I think a lot of old-time members got introduced to Lionism through a friend or a mentor, a fellow worker, being invited to join them at a meeting. My interest really piqued because of what the Lions did, their service, their dedication to make their communities a better place. Not many people may know this, but I really became a Lion in Kailua Kona. I became a Lion in 1981 with the Lions Club of Kailua Kona.
Before I was born.
And so I've been a Lion longer than James has been alive. But but like many things in life, I was interested. I got involved in Kona, but I also left Lionism when I had to move back. I had a corporate move back to Honolulu in 1990. So I left Lionism for a couple of years. I had work I had to worry about, and also had a family and relationships I had to take care of. But I did come back to Lionism after a span of about 2-3 years, and I rejoined the Lions with the Chinatown Lions in 1990. So when you do the math now, I guess that's 32 years now. So if you add my previous time and what I've spent recently, I've been a Lion for almost 40 years.
Wow.
And really, I don't regret it. I think it's been one of the most rewarding things in my life. The opportunities, the networking, the friendships, getting to meet people as interesting as James and having him be a Lion and be our president this year. It's really gratifying to see the young people stepping up to take over leadership in our organization and our club. And we know that our organization and clubs will move forward with such dynamic and young people like James and the other young members we have in our club.
Yeah, and you were the first contact I had at the Chinatown Lions, I believe, right? I can't remember how I did. I think I emailed something, or maybe there was a website.
Yeah, I think you emailed us and said you were interested in being a member because you were such an active force in Chinatown. And we were really happy to see someone involved in our communities, involved in trying to do better things for the Chinatown community. And I think we were really happy to have you decide to become a Chinatown Lions Club member.
I remember I was hesitant at first because for some reason I had thought it was like a religious like I thought you had to be like a Catholic or a Christian to do it, because I tend to be like non-religious. So at first I was kind of like taken back. I was like, I don't know if I should pursue this. But then like through further research and then understanding like, it's a non-profit. It's not really.
Yeah, we're really non-denominational and really apolitical. Mm-hmm. We don't think politics has anything to do with community service. So we tend to stay away from topics such as that, even though some of our members do get carried away sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and I've always appreciated your help and everything with the club. I remember my first year, I volunteered to be the secretary, and you had warned me. You said, no, you know, that's a big task, because I've served as secretary for other committees, but those weren't the same. You know, you're basically like a chief of staff to the club president.
Well, you volunteered to take the most difficult position in any Lions club, and that's the job of secretary.
Yeah.
There's so many tasks to do that when you said you want to be club secretary, you said, well, you know what, maybe you should want to rethink this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need a little bit more air underneath the wings to be a a really good secretary.
Definitely, definitely. That's why I'm glad we have Lion Steven secretary now, because I forget things all the time, and he'll be like, no, this. Oh yeah, okay.
Well, try being my age and trying to remember things.
So let's go through like your different positions you've held like in the Lions altogether, because your latest position was the past district governor of Hawaii.
Yeah, that's correct. But like any organization, there's multiple positions and tasks to fill. When I was a member of the Kailua Kona Lions Club, I was club president a couple of years. I was also zone chair on the Big Island, so I took care of half of the Big Island, all the way from Honoka'a all the way down to Ka'u was the area I was involved in. So
Wait, when was that?
that was about 1985, 86.
Wow.
Yeah,
Before emails.
Yeah. So yeah, it was way before social media and the advent of smartphones and everything else. So it was an interesting position, and I remember spending long hours on the road trying to take care of the Lions and the clubs in those areas. When I moved back to Honolulu, I became a Chinatown Lion in 1990. And, eventually I became club president. I was club secretary for many years. I was club editor, putting out a monthly magazine. And then I also got further involved in our district, which basically is the statewide organization. So I became zone chair again. I in charge of 6 clubs in our area. Then I got promoted, if you want to call it that, to region chair, which involved taking care of 2 zones with about a dozen clubs.
Wow.
And in between that, I got involved with what is the fundraising arm of the district, which is the Hawaii Lions Foundation. I was asked to be the chair of the iBank for 2010 to 2012. I got our new facility at the Kuakini Physicians Center designed, built, and operating,
Oh, wow.
which was really something that I was really interested in and really pushing for, because one of the things about being a Lion, I've always thought that our vision program, helping people with vision, was a critical component of being a Lion. And then after I finished my term as the iBank chair, I became foundation president for 2 years. So I was actively involved in that until 2014. And then in 2015, I was responsible for the international convention that came to Honolulu. So I was responsible for making sure that we took care of about 20,000 Lions from across the world in 2015.
Ooh.
So after that, I decided to become district governor. In other words, the CEO for really the Lions of Hawaii. And I did that in 2018 to 2019. And of course, I have to say that all these were only possible because of the support and help I got from the Chinatown Lions and the Lions of Hawaii. So, I've had a very interesting career as a Lion, and, I think I have a passion for what we do. I think most Lions do. They become Lions because they're passionate about serving their communities. And, I see it in guys like you, James.
You don't have to lie to the people.
I'm not.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I always, even when I was in the military, I used to volunteer. I used to volunteer with the DARE program, go to the schools, and just like for events and fairs. And then I never knew really how to get involved with any club. Because I don't know, it just didn't seem like I could find information on like just community service in the area,
Mm-hmm.
And then I think my friend Rich Halverson, he's in the Hawaii Con, I think
Yes.
he had mentioned that he is a Lion. And I kind of was like, well, what is that? Let me look into that. And then I remember seeing the Lions, around, with the yellow vests. So I was like, yeah, I'll try to pursue that.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned Rich, because he actually lives across the street from me. And I was in a Zoom meeting with him just the other day.
Oh, really? Oh, nice. Yeah. Hey,
So
shout out to Rich.
Yeah, and it really shows you it's really a small world in many ways.
Yeah. And you meet so many interesting people, so many cool people when you do the different. I think that's kind of what also lured me to all the different organizations I belong to. Because if you kind of like limit yourself to the type of people around you, you don't expand your thinking or your.
Well, I think one thing about belonging to an international organization like the Lions is you get to meet lions and people from all over the world.
Yeah.
And I've been really fortunate because being involved in international convention and really being involved in, let's say, the senior portion of Lions in Hawaii, I've been able to meet Lions from all over the world. I've been able to meet our international presidents, our international directors, and they're really an interesting group of dedicated and passionate people. If you really think about what they do and what they donate in terms of their time and energies to further our international organization and the word service, it's really fascinating. And those are the kind of people that you really want to work with and look up to and admire because they have a passion for service. And I think, our motto is we serve. And I think all of them, and I think most of us, we take that word seriously. That passion of service to help our communities, our all the organizations that support and prop up what we consider life and communities like Alzheimer's or diabetes or all these communities. You'll find that Lions are actively involved in all of these core needs throughout the state and throughout the world.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when I lived in Brazil, anytime you would go around, you would see three large symbols everywhere: the Rotary, the Freemasons, and the Lions Club. Like almost every small town you would go into, like in the outskirts of the major cities, would be like right in the front, right when you're driving down, you would have those three. And I always thought that was fascinating. I wasn't a Lion at the time, but I'm a Mason, so I used to go and visit the different lodges and stuff. And when you belong to an organization that's international and is geared towards either making yourself better or making the community better, the type of people that you meet is always incredible because they're always just so positive and they're not really self-serving. They're really especially a lot of the Lions and Rotary. They're busy. They're pretty high up there in the chain of corporate ladders and whatever, but they still make time to come out and clean up graffiti or pick up trash and things like that. So I think that's always the kind of people I wanted to surround myself with, right? Positive people.
Absolutely.
So, that's what I've been involved in so many organizations to the point where I was burnt out. I didn't realize I was burnt out until COVID hit, and then it was rare for me to have an evening where I wasn't doing something, and then all of a sudden, it was nothing.
Right.
Everything was shut down, and then I was like, man, I've never actually just relaxed.
I think COVID's made a lot of people and organizations rethink how they do things. I think prior to COVID, many of our Lions clubs, they weren't actively involved in Zoom or GoToMeeting. Nobody had virtual meetings, video meetings. And I think because of the necessity of trying to do things during a pandemic time, it really forced a lot of us old-timers to kind of learn and get with it in terms of doing video conferencing, video meetings. That I think we're a little bit more sophisticated now. And like for us right now, we hold virtual meetings basically where half is online on Zoom, and the other meeting we do a face-to-face. And of course, I have to tell you, I'm an old-time Lion. I really like the social aspects of a face-to-face.
No, me too.
And that's one of the good things about I think Lions is the fact that we have the social component, but it's the social component in terms of service, right? We're there for a common cause, a common good, and we're also practical because we understand in order to get things done, we've got to Zoom and we've got to go to meetings. That's the only way we can get things done. And I think internationally, our international organization has really promoted Zoom meetings, GoToMeetings. I mean, we've had international conventions on Zoom, conferences on Zoom. So I think that's the way of the future. And I think it's really important for us as an organization to look at that because it provides opportunities for a whole bunch of people that were never interested in becoming a Lion because they didn't want to go to a meeting, a boring meeting, or going to a dinner meeting, or coming to an event at a set time. But with Zoom now, you open up a whole new venue for people who may not have been interested in doing a Lions or a service project.
Yeah, and that's I don't know if other places have it, but we have the Hawaii Cyber Lions, Did you had a hand in that, right?
Yeah, the whole concept of cyber lionism in Hawaii was my idea.
Okay, that's what I thought. I didn't want to undercut anyone. If
No,
anyone.
no, no, no. Honestly, but it was just an idea that basically I had stolen from other Lions in the mainland. There's several Lions clubs in the mainland that had started cyber club, and that was something that I had picked up going to a USA Canada forum on the mainland, and I talked to Lions who were starting cyber clubs, and I thought that it would be a perfect venue for Lionism in Hawaii. We're a bunch of islands separated by oceans. Uh, you know, what would be better than just getting on a Zoom call and talking to someone across the state?
Yeah.
And providing opportunities, like I said, for people who didn't want to get involved in a traditional bricks and mortars club, who wanted the freedom of belonging to cyber club, not having to worry about going to meetings. You can attend a meeting in your T-shirt and shorts. I mean, you didn't have to dress up. So I thought the whole concept was really good, and it provided a different way of becoming a Lion, especially for young active members.
Yeah, and I'm sure they probably had no problem switch. Yeah, when the lockdowns happened, they're like, yeah, well,
Well, the Cyber Lions were one of the most active clubs because they weren't constrained by a physical meeting, right? They were able to meet online because that's what they traditionally do.
Mm-hmm.
So they really led the way for a lot of the Lions clubs in Hawaii to do service during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've done a few projects with them. Oh, yeah, I'm a member too, but before I became like an official member.
Yes, we know that you're an associate member, so am I.
But I see, and that's what's good, because I think that was seeing what, like you were saying, a lot of people don't want to show up to the meetings, especially younger people. I think my personal belief is that a lot of the younger people don't see the benefit of just joining clubs in general, and what also you said was the social aspect. That I think is important because I'm a very sociable person like yourself. So for me, I've always enjoyed, we can do the service projects. That's awesome. And then, the next meeting we're doing is, in person, we're talking story, you're meeting with people. And I think a lot of people kind of look past that part.
Yeah,
but
I really think that social interaction is really necessary because I come from a generation that has one different mindset. You come from another generation that has a different mindset. If we can communicate with each other and talk to each other and find the good points of both sides, and find common ground, I think that can only be a positive. I mean, I think we've learned a lot from you guys, the younger members in our club. I mean, us old guys, we used to do some really old-fashioned things, right?
Like faxing? No.
Right. And so we really needed to kind of get with the program. If we're going to attract and motivate younger members, dynamic guys like you, we need to figure out a way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the ability to meet, to communicate, to find common ground, I think is critical in any organization.
Yeah. And I guess in the Lions, they do so many projects, which is also cool because you can kind of like pick and choose, right? Like if you want to do an eyeglass collection drive, you could do that. If you want to, is it the Mililani Lions? They do the breakfast, fundraiser. There's so many things you could do that I think you could tailor it to different likes.
Yeah, I think one thing good about individual Lions is they dictate the service that they want to do. Even though internationally we have core programs like vision and hearing, but really it's really left up to the individual clubs to determine what's important for them and their communities, and for them to decide, this is what we're going to do. So I think that's one thing great about our organization.
The hardest thing for our club is Chinatown Lions for Chinatown, Honolulu. It's a historic district, a lot of privately owned properties, right? And then the city owns the other properties, and it's like every time we try to organize like some sort of event, the city says, okay, well, you have to get written permission from the building owner. And I'm like, I don't know who the building owner is, right? Because, I would like to do like the graffiti cleanups and things like that. But yeah, when it comes to projects, has there ever been any like projects that you wanted to do anywhere within the Lions that it just ended up not being feasible for some reason?
I think there's been a few that always propped up, but you always look at manpower requirements, costs associated with it, and whether there's a liability issue to it. It's a thing that always comes to mind. And then a lot of times it's just like you said, trying to get permission from people to do it. You mentioned graffiti, yeah, but do we get the permission from who? Right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Red tape everywhere.
red tape sometimes it gets in the way. But I think overall we generally try to do what we can. I mean, we don't ask you to do more than what you can physically do, right? We're not asking you to be Superman and do Mission Impossible. We all realize, we have limitations. Every organization has limitations. So we ask you to do the best you can with the amount of time you can donate. I mean, you can't ask anyone for more than that.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why I think, especially with the COVID and the lockdowns and everything switching to like virtual, I think a lot of organizations are kind of like developing that mentality too, and now more Lions clubs, right? Because before it was just the Cyber Lions. Hey, there's this project, you could show up if you want, but now all the other clubs also who are meeting virtually, hey, you can listen on your phone to our meeting if you want, or just come out to the project.
Right, and interesting too is now you can go and go into join other clubs at their Zoom meetings.
Yeah,
you can do it internationally.
Crash the party.
I've been invited to several of their Zoom meetings in India. So I'm
wow.
up at 2:00 in the morning, joining their discussions about Lionism in India.
Interesting.
Yeah, and we have a network of Zoom guys all over the United States that we connect with. So that's one benefit of the pandemic is the fact that Zoom technology is so much prevalent now.
Yeah.
That we do things around the world. I mean,
if you're looking for like a positive side of COVID, I would definitely say the forcing of different entities, corporate and nonprofit and government, having to switch over to virtual and realizing the benefit of that, not only for your, I guess, bottom line, but also the welfare of the employee or the member, right? I telework now. I didn't telework during COVID. I would still show up to the office because I didn't want to be trapped in my room all the time. But then I eventually switched over to telework, and I enjoy it. It's a lot more relaxing, and I get more done because I just feel like the environment that I'm working in is one that I've created. It's not like office lights and the cubicle spaces and carpet from the 70s. That still smells, right?
Well, so here's one thing too. Now, hopefully the COVID situation is being controlled, and we're going to be basically able to go to a new normalcy in life. So now all the clubs that use the pandemic as an excuse to not to do things won't have an excuse anymore. Right?
Now they have.
So we're going to have to gear up and get back to doing what we normally do in a non-pandemic world.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a warning to all these clubs who've been using it as an excuse. We're going to have to get off and get things going again.
Yeah. One thing that I always wondered, and this is for any organization, whether it's Lions or the Masons, some clubs have very low membership and low turnout. They have a hard time. Why, or what do you think, or what do you know holds these clubs back from just saying, well, if your club's having a hard time, my club's having a hard time, we could kind of come together and at least we'll have more membership showing up and things like that.
I think the fact that each club is an individual club gets in the way sometimes. Their pride, their history gets in the way sometimes. There's been a few clubs in our district in Hawaii that we felt that maybe they would be better off if they basically joined another club because in terms of low membership or low service activities, they'd be better off with more people because basically you have more lines, you're able to do more things. But sometimes, pride and ego gets in the way. I mean, I hate to say that, but if you belong to a club and you're proud of your club, you really don't want to think about, gee, we're going to fold up and we're going to join another club. So sometimes, that does get in the way. And a lot of clubs, they have a hard time recruiting young members. I mean, that's always been a problem. When you think of Lions, most people think of 70, 80-year-old guys.
That's true. Same with the VFW.
Yeah. So, it's hard to attract younger, vibrant members into a club. We're fortunate that we have guys like you. We have the Roosevelt Leos as a feeder to our club. But a lot of clubs don't have that kind of privilege. I call it a privilege to attract younger members. And of course, a lot of times, guys like me get in the way, and we don't listen to what the young people have to
Right.
say. So it's a question of accepting the fact that you need younger members to continue the club's history. You need to hear the voices that they have. You know, uh, they're not there because they don't want to. They want to be lions. They want to serve. So it's really giving them the opportunity to do what they joined,
Hmm.
and don't be the guy stepping in and preventing that from happening. And I think a lot of old guys like me, we need to kind of understand that and just basically let it go. I mean, really, you know,
Yeah, but yeah, I can see, but also I think a lot of people like yourself, there are things that like the younger people want to do that you have tried already, and it just wasn't. So it's like why uh, keep trying to reinvent the wheel in certain
yeah,
aspects.
but demographics conditions change,
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
So so you got to look at what maybe didn't work 10 years ago might be viable today.
Hmm.
And we need young guys like you to remind us that, hey, maybe it didn't work then, but it may work today.
Yeah, times have
Times
changed,
have
bro.
changed, right? And so we as an organization and we as Lions need to change and understand that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we provide some of the history and the do's and don'ts from tasks, but we need guys to say, hey, it's doable now.
Yeah.
What wasn't possible then is possible now. I mean, we have the energy and the desire to do so. Let's try it.
Yeah, and but I think it goes back to kind of what I was saying earlier too. Is like the younger folks don't understand the benefit of like a social club in a sense, or a
Mm-hmm.
community service organization, even though they want to do community stuff. But I think, and I guess it's hard to relay like the relationships that you could make with people, and learning new things and new
Mm-hmm.
opportunities from people that you meet. I've met people like you and others that are just they do fascinating things. Yeah, I can just listen to them talk. Um, but I think a lot of younger people they're just so caught up with like college or work or trying to make a career and all that. But I think an organization like Lions Club, um, or another community service organization can help you in that path. Because you also there's people that you can say, oh, this is what I'm trying to do, and they, oh yeah, I used to do that, and here.
I think a lot of times we forget how active our younger members are. The responsibilities that they have if they're going to school or starting out in a job. And so I think, we need to be more realistic about what our expectations are of younger members. I remember a long time ago when I was just a brand new lion with a family and a job. I mean, I didn't have much time to spare, but I gave what I could, and I think that's all we can expect from younger members. Because honestly, we always say lionism isn't the most important thing. It's your family, it's your career, and then we only ask from you what you can give. You know, um, and we're just happy that you're even in the conversation.
Mm.
But really, in today's society, there's so many expectations on younger guys. If you're a student and trying to go to school and trying to have a part-time job to pay for that education,
Yeah.
or if you're a young family just starting out, you got kids and you got all the programs that your kids normally go through. I mean, how much time do you really have in a week to donate? And honestly,
Yeah, that's
you
true.
need some of that time for your own self. I mean, you got to take care of yourself too.
Yeah.
So I think we need to be more realistic about what our expectations are. It's not like the old days. And so that's what I always tell guys when they have problems with recruiting young members is, how realistic are you with your expectations of what they can give you?
Hmm.
You know, just think about when you were starting up in life.
Yeah. 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 People's lives get in the way. They need to get rid of their lives. No, I'm just kidding. So when you were district governor, what would you say was your biggest accomplishment, or did you set out to achieve something and then followed through with it, or?
Yeah, I wanted to do a couple of things when I was district governor, and I ran because of that. One was to provide training, advanced training for our members. We always, prior to my year as district governor, we always had a elementary or beginning training. We didn't have any training for senior lions. We didn't have training for lions who wanted to move up into the ranks. So one of the things that I did as district governor is I brought in the Advanced Leadership Institute into Hawaii for the first time, because we needed to train our future leaders, and we didn't have a path at that time. So I was really glad that I was able to get LCI and the powers to be to provide the funding and the personnel to do advanced leadership training.
Yeah, that's
and I
awesome.
think the results speaks for itself. Our district governor this year is a graduate of our Advanced Institute.
Nice.
The vice district governor, who will be district governor next year, was a graduate.
Oh, okay.
And so I think it's important to train the leaders of our organization, and I was happy that I was able to bring that in.
Awesome. And then now, because it's such a powerful position, I guess you would say, district governor. You're like the number one guy for Hawaii. What is it like the day after when your term is done? Is it like a relief, or is you kind of like miss it?
Oh, I tell you, it's a party.
Is it?
Because the pressure is off.
Yeah, true.
I mean,
true.
you do fill a position as what they call the immediate past district governor, but the fact that you finished your term, you had success, and there's someone else to carry the torch and the banner. It's a relief, because you really think about it. It's a multi-year dedication, because in order to become district governor, you have to be first and second vice district governors. So that's 2 years before you take over the final position, and you have a commitment 1 year after that. So really, it's a 4-year commitment. But we always tell our district governors and past district governors, it's a lifetime title. Once you're a district governor, you will always be a district governor, and you will always represent the association in the state.
And you can always try, because do you have to be a past district governor to go for like the international seats?
Yes, that's one of the requirements, that you're a past district governor.
And then for the international, so wait, is it national and then international, or is
no,
it
it's
part of the same?
international, yeah, because
I see.
the board is basically an international organization that takes care of all the constitutional areas that
I
Lions
see.
Club's involved.
And then, man, I bet the cost savings that they will have now, because instead of like flying people out to meet, right, you can just do it over Zoom.
For the last couple of years, because of COVID, they've had virtual meetings. Excuse me. Even the conventions, we've had virtual conventions because we couldn't get into Canada this past year. It was closed off.
Canada. Oh, and now no one can get in.
Yeah, but I think a lot of us really miss the interaction we have. I have friends from all over the world that I meet once a year at the international convention. That's the only
awesome.
time I'll be able to meet my friends from Italy or India or Japan. So really, we look forward to going. But we hope that Montreal will open up in June of this year, and we'll have our international convention.
Yeah, that's right. It is up there, huh? Oh man, there's a whole thing going on up there. Hopefully, that's all taken care of by then. Yeah, I think even like for me, like being in the union, I was the union steward, and I never really cared much about going to the meetings that we would have every month. But I always found like the conventions we had, the biannual conventions, important, because I think people get burnt out of whatever their role is, or they become disenfranchised for some reasons. But then when you get together with everybody, it just creates, it's like a rejuvenating effect.
Yeah, I think it kind of stirs the passion. I mean, I always think back to my first international convention, which was in San Francisco. And every international convention, we have what's called the Parade of Nations.
Yeah, that's cool.
Where delegates from every country, that's part of the Lions International, they march in a parade. And they carry their country's flags, their banners. And I was really taken aback because in San Francisco, there was a delegation from Africa. And there was only one individual who was able to come to San Francisco. But he was proudly carrying the flag of his country.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Huh.
And when you see these countries and their lions dressed in the native costumes, or it's really gets you, because it really makes you aware of how international our organization is, and how much of an impact we Lions have around the world.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating.
And it's because, and it's also again like a reminder of like, like-minded people exist all over the world, and that's kind of part that drives, my motivation for Lions. Like just, yeah, like you said, like I get excited when I watch those parades because I see the Brazilian delegation. Yeah, because I used to live in Brazil, so it's like it's in my heart. So I love seeing anything with Brazil. This year, you said it'll be in Montreal.
Montreal.
Yeah? Oh, that's too cold, man. do you are they going to do like the parade of?
Oh, absolutely. That's to me, that's the most fundamental thing about the convention is the parade. I mean,
How do you get all those hotel rooms?
oh, they're blocked. These conventions are set in place 9 to 10 years before they actually happen.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's another thing in itself. The amount of work it takes to become a host city and the work
Yeah.
it takes to actually have the convention in town requires multitude of volunteers.
I would
make it
hate to
happen.
be the one who has to like book the hotels or anything like that. Oh, that's.
Well, they have a staff. They have LCI, our Lions Clubs International, has a convention committee staff that helps the host committees put together, that whole package of hotel rooms and transportation and all those things.
No, that's logistics. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much logistics. I mean, most people don't even think about visa requirements for a lot of the countries overseas. In order for them to come to attend the convention, there's a whole slew of visa requirements that they're forced to have to get in.
Interesting. Are there any countries that people would be surprised Lions exist in?
Oh, I think the list is really amazing when you consider, we're in over 200 and, okay, I'm trying to guess, it's all 280 countries around the world. So the list is interesting. I mean, yeah. Like I said, we're a apolitical party, so really, we try not to take internal and external politics away from the whole core commitment of service,
It's interesting, like, because on my Facebook, you probably have them too. There's a couple people from Africa, and I kind of like looking at their posts of what they're doing. Like water purification things or food drives for the kids. That's the kind of stuff that I think is super important. Like cleaning up graffiti is awesome,
right?
To clean up, but it's the difference in the service projects between the different countries.
The needs vary, right? And our ability to do things in different countries is kind of interesting. One of the things about our organization is we have a charitable organization, which is LCIF, Lions Clubs International Foundation. And so members, organizations donate to the cause. And I think in the past 20 years, I think the foundation has passed out over $1 billion in grants and monies to organizations.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Huh. That's a lot of money, yeah? That's kind of like reflective of just the overall, I think, Lions organization itself, the charitable aspect of it. People are willing to give time and also money in other ways. And then you can help those smaller nations.
But then, we get help too. Like when we had the eruption in volcano in Puna.
Yeah.
We were able to, as a district, get emergency funding from LCIF. As a district governor, you can automatically ask for $10,000 to help in disaster relief, and you can always put in a request for additional funding as needed. The flooding in Kauai, we were able to get grants to help with that. So, it works both ways, and organization is there to help us in our times of need also.
That volcano one was interesting. That's so interesting about living in Hawaii because, I'm from the mainland. So when I come over here and they talk about like, there's a lot of fog in the air today. I'm like, what is fog? Like, it's volcanic. It's like fog, but it's from the volcano, yeah? Because it's, what? Okay. But yeah, that's, my VFW, they had to go over to, I think Molokai was one, and Big Island to help rebuild where they used to meet. And for the Lions, I'm assuming we did the same.
Oh yeah, I mean we actually had clubs in Pune to help out with the people affected by the volcano who lost their homes. So we fed them, we provided supplies and such. The Tonga is another issue. I
Yeah.
mean, we have Lions clubs in Tonga. So LCIF sent the emergency funds to Tonga to help.
What
those
exactly?
affected.
To be honest, I haven't even been following. I've just seen a lot of people are raising awareness for Tonga, but I'm like, I didn't. To be honest, I've kind of just
I mean, basically, they need any and all supplies. I mean, basically, the whole island is just basically washed over.
that's crazy.
So just the basic necessities like food and water is critical. So so LCIF sends funding directly to the Lions of Tonga to help them with their emergency relief.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's sad that that they have to deal with such a negative situation. I feel bad because I haven't been following it, but there's just so many other things going on too.
Oh, absolutely, but it's good to know that there's organizations like the Lions who are there to help.
Yeah, for sure. if the Lions Club, yeah, you see how they're adapting to the Zoom and all that, and do you think once COVID is over, people will kind of navigate back to how it used to be? Maybe they don't want to do the Zooms.
No, I think most clubs they kind of understand the benefits of having video meetings, and I really think that a hybrid model would probably be the prevalent model for most Lions clubs around the world. I think the benefits of being able to get members who can't come to a meeting, physically come to a meeting, but you're able to log on Zoom or go to a meeting and be active at whatever discussion is happening at the club, to see what's happening and interact with people, even though through Zoom or GoToMeeting. I think it's here to stay. I think people have gotten used to the technology. They're getting lazy. Right?
That's me.
Yeah, so
I've
so
gotten
just
lazy.
think about it. If you didn't want to jump in a car and drive to a meeting site and spend the money to have a dinner or a lunch, but you can still be a part of that meeting,
Yeah.
why not do it and provide that?
Sometimes I'm so lazy that I don't even log into meetings because I'm like, I don't have anything to offer this meeting. So, but yeah, like you said, I'm the president of the Chinatown Lions currently, and I was hoping that COVID would kind of like pass through and all that, because I felt like there's more that can be done, but trying to get people to do things is hard.
Yeah, I think the problem for many clubs is that you have older members basically, and they're the ones that was mostly affected by the COVID.
Right.
And so there's a hesitancy to do service projects in COVID era because you didn't want to affect your members. But I think as it's changed, I think the COVID situation has changed drastically. Omicron's not as invasive as Delta was, and I think it's a little bit safer. I think everybody's getting more used to COVID life, the new normalcy. I think we're going to be back out there and doing things like we did before.
Yeah, I hope so. And then for you, do you have you have a role with this international convention? Yeah.
The international board will be coming to the Big Island in April of
That's
this year.
right. Yeah.
So the international board of directors and the officers are planning to have their quarterly meeting in Waikoloa at the Waikoloa Hilton. And so the Lions of Hawaii will be hosting, hopefully, about 150 Lions and staff members there.
Oh, nice. And then, do you have plans for your future with the international side, or?
Well, I am the endorsed candidate from Hawaii. I'll be running for the Office of International Director in Montreal this year.
Nice. And it'll be in person.
Yes, hopefully in person.
Are you gonna do like a parade? Isn't that what we did at the district convention for you? It was like a little parade.
Well, like I said, the Parade of Nations is always the highlight of any international convention. and I look forward to marching in the parade with the rest of the Lions from Hawaii.
Nice. Does the parade happen before, or is it just like during?
It's usually held on Saturday morning
Yeah.
before we have our general sessions.
It's just all those people marching. Woo! I like that.
I think they usually have about 10,000 people. If you have a regular convention
Mhm.
with a regular turnout, you usually have about 8 to 10,000 Lions marching.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
It is.
Again, that's a lot of logistical
It is.
nightmares. So what were your role, international director? What exactly would you be? doing?
I'll be basically on the board looking at the policies and answering grants and such that usually come to the board. But basically, it's like any corporate board. We're making sure that the organization is run effectively, the funds are expended in a proper manner, accounted for, and being as efficient as we can with the funding that we get from our members.
Oh, I wish the government was like that. Like, could you imagine if they had to be accountable for their budget?
Well, the thing I really admire about the directors, they spend so much of their personal time, but none of them are paid.
Yeah,
Be
all
president.
volunteer.
Yeah, they're all volunteers. So when you're international president, you basically give like 5-6 years of your life to the organization, because to become international president, you have to be first and second vice president. Then you serve a year as president, and you serve a year as immediate past president, as president of the foundation. So really,
Yeah, that's a big commitment.
that's a commitment out of your life. So
Yeah.
I really admire them for the ability of donating a big chunk of their lives to the organization.
Yeah, they'll be you. And then do they do like quarterly meetings, or is their stuff just gonna be all Zoom too?
Well, they've had a hybrid. Some meetings they have face to face, and others they do Zoom meetings. And I think at the present time, a lot of the directors from international countries, they're not allowed to leave their countries yet.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
so I think the U.S. and some of the countries that are allowed to get together, they've met. But I think more than half the directors aren't allowed to travel yet. So they've had a hybrid.
Oh, yeah, sitting on the Zoom. See, that's one thing I don't like. I don't know. The thing about for me is like I like being there in person for things. I don't think that true emotion can be shown through like a Zoom meeting, right? Like I think if you're like giving a presentation, but you're in front of the room, you can read the room. But if you're like on Zoom, it's kind of like you're looking at yourself in the camera, and I don't know. I prefer the in person because I like interacting with people. Right. You can read people, you can feel their emotion, and I think that's important, at least for me. But who knows? We'll see.
Well, I kind of agree with you. I really like the face-to-face. I think that's when you get the true essence of the person that you're dealing with.
Yeah, because otherwise I feel like it's an online class where you're just checking off the boxes of what you have to do, and that's it. But when you're in person, there's just a whole different aspect to it. I enjoy it more. It's kind of why I did the podcast, because I enjoy talking to people, listening to people, and digging around, seeing what's going on in their brain and whatnot. But you can't do that over Zoom when it's a group of people.
It's not convenient, right?
Yeah. So real quick, when they do the Zoom meetings, I'm assuming they have like a translator?
Oh, they have multiple translators, because you have to understand that we have lines from all over the world.
Yeah.
And some of them don't speak English, so we have translators from LCI staff.
Oh, I like that. That's cool. So I guess, Bob, is there anything that you want to relay to the people, or you want to give like an elevator pitch for the Lions Club?
Well, I think, if you're an individual who wants to serve and help their communities and looking for an organization, I can't think of a better organization than Lions to become a member. There's clubs throughout the entire state. We have over 1,500 Lions in Hawaii. And, we would love to have you work with us side by side to make our communities better. I mean, what else more can you ask for, really?
Yeah.
So if you're one of those individuals, we certainly would love to have you.
Yeah. Could you imagine if like the majority of people we're able to be lions. Like, just, I don't know. I just think because of the like-mindedness of it, I don't know. I just feel like it'd be a better place. There's some politicians who are lions.
Yeah,
But
most governors have been lions.
yeah, that's true.
But regardless of whether you call yourself a lion or Rotarian or all these other service organizations, it's people who want to help people, and that to me is the bottom line. If you're a Rotarian, I salute you. If you're a Kiwani, I salute you. But of course, it's better to be a lion.
Yeah, that's right. If anyone's interested in lionism, this is the place to go.
Absolutely.
Don't Rotary's cool, but I don't own a business, so I don't really go to Rotary meetings. I've been to a couple, but so I appreciate you coming here and talking story with me and giving me your time.
Oh, no, I'm glad to give it.
Sharing a little bit of your history with the Lions and things like that. So yeah, if there's anything else you want to add, otherwise we'll close it out.
No, I just want to congratulate you for being our president this year. You're doing a good job, and really, we need young people like you.
And we have scotch.
Absolutely. That's the water of life, right?
Yeah. That's what hooked me in my first meeting. I said, "Oh, there's a scotch bar? Well, all right, here I go."
It's part of the social experience,
yes.
Right? Part of growing up.
All right, well, I appreciate it, Bob. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing what you do in the international level.
Well, we'll see if we get there, right?
Yeah. All right.
Thank you very much.